War. War never changes. That is the tagline of the Fallout series. The Fallout games are one of the most recognizable and iconic franchises in the gaming world. The games take place in a post-apocalyptic world after a devastating nuclear war. The first game was developed by Interplay Production and released back in 1997. The game would go on to be successful and spawn a sequel released 1 year later. Fallout Tactics, a spin-off of the series, would be released in 2001. Bethesda would acquire the rights and release Fallout 3 in 2008. However, before that, Interplay had made another game after Tactics. In fact, their last one, Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, released in 2004. This game is infamous among the Fallout community, and you're about to find out why. Brotherhood of Steel takes place between Fallout 1 and 2. In this, you play as one of 3 initiates who is tasked with finding a group of Brotherhood knights that went missing. For the 3 characters to pick from, you got Cyrus, who is the strongest but is not very agile, Nadia, who can't use large weapons but is faster, and missing from the cover, Kane, who is a jack-of-all-trades character. He's not as fast or strong as the other 2. He's also a ghoul, which are people who are mutated to zombie-like beings from being exposed to radiation. If you know the lore of the Brotherhood of Steel, they're not exactly keen on letting in mutated humans, although in Tactics, ghouls can be recruited. Besides, in that game, this Brotherhood group was cut off from the main chapter and had no choice but to recruit the local populace to fill out their ranks. So, how did Kane join? Well, he was persistent enough, the Brotherhood reluctantly let him join. Okay. This game is a third-person, top-down action RPG, compared to the first 3, which are isometric turn-based, where you have to carefully plan and place your character to attack an enemy effectively. But in this, it's a melee/shoot-'em-up, and you'll be doing plenty of that here. You'll be using various melee weapons, firearms, and throwable explosives. Up to 3 weapons can be equipped to switch between them on the fly. Your character can crouch by hitting down on the directional pad. There's jumping by hitting the Y button. These are used for getting past obstacles such as big pipes and jumping onto platforms. Oh god, the platforming in this game, especially with how slippery the controls are. There's one part in the game where you have to jump on these pipes while getting shot at. With melee weapons, all you need to do is mash the A button. You can also do a charge attack by holding down the B button and releasing. Though you can't do that until you put skill points into a specific melee perk. For long-range weapons, it's best to lock onto enemies using the right trigger. The only problem with that is that locking onto enemies makes you slower, especially when facing off against multiple enemies. Even though Nadia is fast, she still moves slow when locking on. There is a dodge mechanic by locking onto enemies, pressing the Y button, and moving the left stick right or left to perform the roll. This is somewhat helpful in dodging enemy fire. You can try to shoot the enemies freely, but it's about as effective as trying to piss in a cup while it's on a paint mixer. Throwing explosives is awkward as hell. You press and hold down the A button and the indicator shows. It moves forward automatically until you release the button, throwing the explosives to where the indicator was. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I was shot at, how many times I was dogpiled, to the point of almost dying while attempting the perfect throw. For the rest of the controls, you heal from stim packs by pressing the left trigger. Left on the D-pad controls the minimap size, and you can rotate the camera with the right analog stick, but only left and right. And I'm not a huge fan of the camera because it's too overhead and too zoomed in. It's like the devs were trying to recreate that isometric look from the previous games and, well, failed at that. This limits your view distance quite a bit, and I ended up relying on the minimap for navigation. Because of this, enemies could shoot you across the map, but you can't see them until they're on screen. Why not give players the ability to zoom in or out when exploring areas and fighting enemies we come across? Defeating enemies and completing quests gives experience points, as indicated by this second bar. When filled, you level up and spend points on various skills, which is the closest thing this game has to skills and perks from the other games. However, since this game uses an ordinary level up system, it doesn't use the special system or any of the skill sets like science and lockpicking. The skills here are basically more ways of dealing damage and healing faster. This whole game is a pretty linear affair. The maps, the main quest, even the side quests are very linear. There's no multiple paths to take, no choices to make on completing the quests. Hell, in a game like Deus Ex Invisible War, which was released around the same time, had multiple choices on completing a quest. Exploration was always a huge draw in the Fallout games, exploring towns, talking to the locals, visiting interesting and abandoned places. But here, the exploration is finding more weapons, ammo, stim packs. I mean, sure, you do that in the other games, but in this, the game is so generous with giving you a lot of stuff I never had to worry about running out of ammo or stim packs. There are sellers in town which sells you pretty much the same stuff. It's a more convenient way to buy more weapons and ammo. The way you save in this game is by using these phone booths, public terminals, I don't know. Which is all too easy cause these things are everywhere. Sometimes there'll be 3 to 4 of them in the same spot. Sometimes there's a save spot at the end of one level, and when loading in a new level, bam, there's another one. We haven't even gotten to the main story yet, and I can't even begin to tell you how much of a slog this game is. Before I get to the story, I want to touch on the soundtrack. Now, in the other Fallout games, they always include songs from the 1950s to fit the retro-futuristic theme the series is always known for. It's to convey a sort of nostalgia, to yearn for a time that no longer exists after the bombs fell. However, for this one, the developers decided to go with hardcore heavy metal music from bands like Killswitch Engage and Slipknot. Cause you know, this game is extreme! The musics themselves are fine, but it sounds out of place for a Fallout game. I will say the ambient music when metal music is not playing does sound pretty decent. It's reminiscent of the other Fallout games. If I had to guess correctly, the developers thought by including heavy metal music, it would somehow pump up the player while playing this game, to get into the mood and get your blood pumping. Yeah, get pumped full of aneurysm. There's a total of 3 chapters, which may not seem like much, but trust me, these are the longest 3 chapters that I have ever played.
Once a model of pleasant rural America, Carbon is a ghost town. Its people crushed by fear and strife.
Just a note, the voiceover here is from the late Tony Jay, who you might recognize as the voice of Judge Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the Transcendent One from Planescape Torment. He also voiced the Lieutenant from the first Fallout game.
Why, when you become one of us, of course. I can't have a perfectly good prime normal and not make it one of the chosen ones, now can I? After you tell me where your vault is.
He returns to voice the main bad guy in this one. Arriving in the town of Carbon, we come across a band of raiders led by someone named the Raider Matron, and wow, what an outfit.
Wait, you can't do this.
Shut your mouth, worm, before I step on you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you gorgeous hunks, let's go.
Some of the townsfolk are being hauled off to somewhere. After that, we're free to talk to some of the people here.
Well, I guess you're the stranger everyone's talking about.
Okay, what's wrong with him?
I'm, Richard, the mayor of Carbon.
I can't move anything else besides my mouth because the developers couldn't bother to animate the rest of me.
We can also talk to Ruby, the town's prostitute.
My name's Ruby. I'm what you might call an entertainer.
Oh dear God, she looks like a mannequin! They all look like mannequins. Interestingly enough, back in 2001, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance would be released, designed by both Chris Avalon and Snowblind Studios, which developed the Snowblind engine that is used in Dark Alliance. Look at the models in it, look at their expressions, their animations.
No one truly knows. Her spirit was here when I first bought this tavern. Some say she sings for a lost love, a soldier who died defending Baldur's Gate.
It looks pretty good for a game released in 2001, compared to Brotherhood of Steel, which was released a few years later. Come to think of it, Brotherhood of Steel seems to have lifted a lot of the UI, text font, even the health and XP bars straight from it. As it turns out, Interplay had been using the engine without Snowblind's permission, or even paying royalties to them, and would launch a lawsuit, something Interplay is all too familiar with. Anyway, there's Jessie, the town's shop vendor, who's pretty self-explanatory, and the town's doctor named Vidya. Yes, her name is Vidya. Even in 2004, you couldn't escape internet slang. She was a member of the Followers of the Apocalypse, a major faction from the other games. The townsfolk themselves are some of the most uninteresting and less charming people in the series.
Who's that?
Oh crap, it's the Raiders again!
Everyone, get inside! Hurry!
Run for your lives!
Upon further exploration, we come across a billboard for Balls, a high-caffeinated soda brand. Yes. In the Fallout universe, there's a soda called Nuka-Cola, which is obviously this game's version of Coca-Cola. It's a main staple brand for the series, but in this, Interplay decided on the wise decision to include this brand of drink, for reasons, and to get that sweet, sweet sponsor money. Inside the bar, there's some of the raiders here, getting wasted and trashing the place. After taking care of them, we talk to the owner, Armpit, whose one-dimensional characteristic is making gross noises.
See? I got this recipe for booze using fermented red scorpion poison. I got the gear to make the stuff, the contacts to distribute it, but no poison.
Gross.
We speak to the mayor again. Before he could help us out, we have to clear out a warehouse full of rat scorpions. Because, you know, beginner RPG quest. Well, here's where we get our first look at the combat portion of the map. It's very maze-like with navigating narrow corridors, all while getting jumped by boatloads of enemies. What you'll see here is what you'll experience in the rest of the game. Besides enemies, there's also obstacles which serves to make things even more annoying, such as these damn landmines, and radioactive green goo that if you touch it, you glow green and lose health. And the backtracking. There is lots of backtracking. After clearing out the warehouse, we get our first boss fight with this giant rad scorpion. There is a hint that conveniently tells us on what to do, but even without it, the fight is fairly easy. Just lock on, fire away, and dodge his attack. Or you could melee it, as long as you have enough stim packs for this fight. Upon returning, if you visit the bar again, you come across this fella, who is a bit antagonistic towards the player.
I'm a stranger, girl. Didn't your folks teach you not to talk to strangers?
Oh, but don't worry, you'll find out who this person is later on and why this game was made non-canon. Talking to the mayor again, he tells us that a group of paladins went down into the lower craters. We get access to go down, and this is where the platforming comes into play. Wonderful. At the end of the level, we find the mayor down here. What? How did he get here before us? Anyway, turns out he lied. Big shocker. He was working with the raiders to save his own hide.
The raiders wanted your head for what you did to their friends in the bar. Either I gave you to them or they burned the town. My choice was clear.
In this boss fight, the mayor lobs grenades as raiders spawn out to attack. It's best to keep moving to avoid them. After defeating him and watching his corpse explode, the whole place comes crashing down, and we have to hightail it out of there. Once topside, the whole town is being attacked. Even Armpit is set on fire. No, not Armpit, who will make gross noises now.
Give me a lesson. I told them to go fuck themselves.
Some of the townsfolk, including Vidya, have taken refuge in the warehouse. She won't let us in until we killed all of the raiders in town and rescue some of the people.
You left some people behind. Please, save as many of them as you can. I can't open the door with the raiders still around. If you can get rid of the raiders, I'll let you in.
That means going all around the town to areas we couldn't access before, clearing out raiders and rescuing as many townsfolk as possible. After all of that, we get told the matron is based in the steel mill. According to Jessie, the reason why she's there is because she likes the vibrations from the machinery. Oh my god.
Well, just north of us is the bulk of the mill's machinery. Matron usually hangs around there, says she likes the vibrations.
Yeah, that's not the only time you'll hear juvenile jokes in this game.
Hey, stranger. I was wondering, could you help me find Mr. Pussy? My cat, Mr. Pussy.
God duty over, Bob. Me have to go body. Just wait. Guard duty is almost over. But me have to go bad. Okay. You go, I'll stay. No!
Pushing into the mill, first we have to unlock the main doors to the center of the base. After that, it's time to confront her. And here's where we meet General Addis, a high-ranking commander in the Master's army from Fallout 1. Him and his group of super mutants have been buying humans off of the matron. Why? It's never explained. No, really. However, he expresses disgust with her.
I think you're repulsive, selling your own kind.
What? You're buying captured humans off of her. Hypocrite. And so we face off against her and her assets.
You incompetent little fuck. You wiped out half my soldiers, destroyed everything I built here. Do you even understand what's going on here?
She's basically the same character model for Ruby, even being voiced by the same actress. It turns out she provided info to the Brotherhood on the location of Addis and his super mutant army.
I'm working for the Brotherhood, asshole. They wanted information about mutants in this area.
Because trusting info from raiders is something the Brotherhood would do. In this boss fight, she takes 1,000,000 bullets before going down, despite the fact she's wearing no armor whatsoever. After that, we return and prepare to head to the ghoul city of Loss, but not before having a talk with the stranger here.
Is that a Vault 13 flask? Call me a sentimental old fool, but I'll give you a few caps for it. Thanks, kid. You just made my day. And the old vault colors haven't even faded that much. Well, well. Here's those caps. I've dealt with mutants before. I still remember their master. His flesh crawling along the walls, a floor of wriggling fingers clutching at me. If mutants are involved, you'll need all the help you can get.
It turns out he's the Vault Dweller from the first game. Yeah, that Vault Dweller. He serves no purpose other than to try to tie this into the Fallout timeline, which must have really pissed off the fan base. Off to Lost we go.
The city of Loss, a shattered husk of the shining metropolis it once was. Decaying bodies and broken stone give the air a graveyard stench.
This city is under the control of the creatively named Church of Loss.
Let the word go forth. None may enter the city of Loss without the permission of the Church of the Lost.
You'll be fighting ghouls here, but at least in the beginning stage there's a few friendly ones.
Welcome to my humble market, human vermin.
Okay, what the hell's wrong with his face? He looks like silly putty. And the developers didn't even bother to animate his mouth. Here's where we meet Harold, a recurring mutant in the Fallout series. And my god, he looks terrible. I mean, he never looked good to begin with, but this model is just terrible. And he's voiced by a different actor and makes no attempt to make him sound remotely similar from the previous games.
Come to think of it, there were some fellows claiming to be Brotherhood here, weeks ago. Haven't seen them since.
All started with the sirens. I was young, but oh, I do remember that. A lot of terrible years followed, and I remember walking out of the vault late one morning.
Oh, I remember Ruby. Put quite a scare into that little girl. Not on purpose, mind you. Sometimes the meat slides right off the bone, if you know what I mean.
Oh my god, this fucking game. I'm about to lose it, folks. Well, he's here because he's missing body parts and we have to find them. In other words, a fetch quest. After fighting through the alleyways, we come to the church where the leader of the Paladins is being held. The head mutant priest here is speaking some edgelord shit.
Speak swift-winged words or suffer dark visions of torment.
Speaking to him reveals that this is Rhombus from Fallout 1. Yes, really. He's the head of the Paladins, and in this game, him and his group were hunting down the remnants of the Master's army, even though the Brotherhood group and Tactics were doing that originally. He doesn't even look like him, doesn't sound like him.
Ooh, you're the only one? Those idiots on the Brotherhood Council. I warned them that this region contains significant activity.
Being that he was voiced by the awesome Clancy Brown.
Many covet our technology. We have at least 4 attacks a week, from raiders to just people who want to steal what we have.
And he's wearing some weird eye patch. I just want to mention, in a game called Brotherhood of Steel, not counting the Initiate, this is the only member we meet. No, really. The Brotherhood is barely in a game called Brotherhood of Steel. What a farce. It turns out there's a vault here in the city, and he's hidden the key. The priest named Blake shows up, and we have a fairly easy boss fight. After freeing Rhombus, he leads us to where the key is, which boils down to being an escort mission. Every gamer's favorite. This dude just rushes up to everything, and at one point he's near 0 health, and still he remained alive. Also, this is the closest we get to a companion like the other games. After arriving at the spot and retrieving the key, he gets ambushed by a suicide ghoul.
Here it is!
Oh wait, he's fine. Oh, nope, he's down. It's just the game being badly programmed. After fighting off the ghoul bombers, the wounded Rhombus gives us the key and he passes away. Or out. Either way, his 10 minutes of screen time is up and we make our way to the vault. After dealing with some turrets, we finally gain access, leading to Chapter 3.
The Vault Tech Corporation designed the underground facilities that protected, or failed to protect, thousands of lives during the nuclear war. It was only logical that Vault Tech had its own vault, where specialists and executives have lived for many years.
This is where we encounter super mutants and also robots running amok. In this chapter, I unlocked the man's best friend perk, which gives you a dog companion, this game's equivalent of dog meat. He's kind of helpful, although he can die very easily. Though he does respawn at the save stations. After solving some tedious puzzles, we finally confront Addis.
I am Attis, a general in the mutant army. And you have something I need, little mouse.
The key, of course. The key to the Vault Laboratory. You didn't know what it was for, did you? Well, my thanks to the Brotherhood for stealing it from those lunatic ghouls.
He's rather easy as long as you're decently leveled up. I just ended up shotgunning the shit out of him. Unfortunately, due to the power of the cutscene, our character gets ambushed by the Nightkin. She gets her arm chopped off and thrown down a hole. Man, what a cop-out. Defeated the main bad guy, and this happens. Luckily, we're found by one of the Vault's residents named Mary.
Hey, wake up, lady. Your arm. Are you alright?
Our character is bleeding out and losing health. Luckily, we can still wield a one-handed firearm, so hopefully you didn't sell yours by accident. I will admit, this change up in gameplay is a bit interesting. After reaching the garden, we get a new arm and speak with the head of security named Patty.
My name's Patty, and I'm the security officer for what's left of this facility. Who are you?
She tells us in order to leave the vault, the auxiliary vents need to be open to escape through. You know what that means? Time for more busy work. We have to escort a technician and help turn on some machinery to open the vents. There's an annoying laser puzzle which serves only to drag out this last chapter. Really, the whole chapter is just dragging itself out. After all that, there's still the matter of dealing with those pesky mutants. We need access to the labs. The chief scientist has the key, and he's somewhere in the vault ruins. We reach the scientist. He explains the Mother Deathclaw can't see, so she uses hearing, and yet he makes no attempt to lower his voice whatsoever.
Mother of these nightmare creatures. She wounded me, then left me here. Food for her children. She is blind, but once she hears any noise, she will attack. Our conversation will surely bring her running.
Well, dude, if you're so worried about getting killed, then shut the hell up.
You must leave here and destroy this vault. There are things that must be kept hidden from the world. Leave me. Go quickly.
See? And now you're dead. This boss fight can be a pain since the Mother Deathclaw could heal herself in the ponds of radioactive waste. This could lead to an endless fight, or at least until you run out of ammo and stim packs, so you're gonna have to be quick on chipping away her health. I will admit, the design of this Deathclaw looks pretty cool. She looks like a xenomorph. Too bad she's associated with this game. After taking her out, we finally get the lab key. Upon returning, the garden has been invaded by super mutants, so we're gonna have to fight our way through. In the next part, we kill even more super mutants. See what I mean about dragging out this last level? We finally reach Addis once again. It turns out he was after a cure for the super mutant sterility problem, which was a major plot point from the first game.
Preposterous! The FEV2 virus doesn't destroy the reproductive organs of those it mutates. But it cannot be. This would mean that all my work has been for nothing.
This vault was developing a strain of the FEV, which is used to create super mutants. Addis injected himself hoping it would cure his problem, but it didn't work.
No, their experiments failed. I've administered the treatments to myself. The only result is this. A greater level of mutation, like a terrible cancer.
Mutating him even further. And so begins the second boss fight. In this first part, we fight him the way we did before. Once we get his health down enough, he begins to mutate.
Mutants will overcome.
What? He's bigger and faster. Well, that's fair. After defeating him, he begins to really mutate into a giant mass of stuff that consumes the vault. Yeah, this makes him a lame ripoff of the Master. So now we have to kill his giant eyeball that takes 1,000 hits. We then have another boss fight with... Okay, what the fuck is that? Mutant blob growth? Hell, it looks like a ripoff of the sandworm from Doom.
Father! The sleeper has awakened!
This thing has a really annoying attack where it sucks you in, eats you, and spits you out. So you better have full health when that happens. After finally defeating it, we make our way to the labs. Addis becomes Andros from Star Fox and goes on about wanting to become everything or something.
Give him overall kindreds of tongues and nations. I will restore the dead world, blanketing it with earth, removing all
Only I have the brains to rule my life.
And holy hell, we have another fight with the blob monster. How many fights with this are there? We run into Patty, who's caught by the mass, but she looks like an action figure stuck in Play-Doh. She explains we could self-destruct the vault and take a Deus Ex Machina monorail to escape.
Emergency decontamination center. From there, we can initiate extreme safety measures. In case of an accident or an invasion monorail, it'll take you to a secure location in the mountains.
She tells us to mercy kill her, which rewards us with experience points. Okay. God damn it, another fight with this thing. Seriously, did Interplay thought this was a good idea for a finale? This? God damn, son of a bitch, I just want this to be over with. Die! 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 Finally! The switch for the self-destruct is activated. We have about 2 minutes to escape, which adds an extra layer of tension to this. Well, it's fairly easy, you just gotta know where you're going. We made it, and off we go as the vault goes up in a nuclear fire. And the end credits roll with Slipknot playing in the background. To add insult to injury, near the end they mention Fallout community sites, duck and cover, and no mutants allowed with the message, "Thanks for the laughs." For more context on this, I recommend checking out cut content for Brotherhood of Steel, made by Triangle City. This is a fascinating video which not only goes into the cut content of this game, but also the development and fan reaction to this. After the game ends, you unlock some additional characters to play with and the apocalyptic difficulty. But seriously, this game was a slog to get through. And to play through this again? No, just no. This whole game was one bad, irritating fanfiction. A fanfiction Interplay had faith in. They had so much faith in this game succeeding that they canceled Fallout Van Buren, which would have officially been called Fallout 3. Instead, they began work on Brotherhood of Steel 2. Oh yes. Well, this game didn't end up doing so well with the reviews and sales, not to mention the fan backlash to this, and you could factor in those lawsuits. Interplay is still around, though barely holding on by a thread. The rights would be sold to Bethesda, leading to the release of Fallout 3. If you're looking to play a Fallout game, don't play this one. Play any of the other ones instead. Hell, even Shelter. Also, I guarantee you, even Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance is a way better game. It's available on both Steam and GOG. It really is a sad ending to a once great video game company. What a shame. You know, after playing this, I think I'm going to fire up some Fallout 3. Or New Vegas. Maybe I should check out the Frontier. Yeah. What? Who's that? What's in the box? What's in the box?
When I said I admired you, I meant what I said.
Come on! What's in the box? What's in the box?
You've made quite a life for yourself. You should be very proud.
Tell me what's in the fucking box! I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna open the box. What is this?
I'm trying to tell you how much I admire you. Come vengeance. Come wrath.
Oh God. Oh God.